Hi, I'm Chike Coleman, and this is Real Reviews, the show where we talk about movies and sometimes TV shows. This week, I'm doing the show solo, so I wanted to talk to you guys about movies for fall of 2016. Since we're in September now, there are tons of great movies coming out, but I want to go back a little bit and focus on great fall movies for you to watch at home and within the comfort of your family and who would really enjoy fall movies, people who would really enjoy that, would find these movies to be, I would hope, up their street. The first movie I want to talk about today came from the 90s. It's Casper, starring Christina Ricci and Bill Pullman. I really love this movie, and to me, it just oozes fall and a little bit of Halloween as well. Casper is basically about this family, a psychiatrist and his daughter, who move into this house in New Hampshire, Connecticut-like town. And inside the house are Stretch, Fatso, Stinky, and of course, Casper. Casper has been this lonely 10-year-old boy for who knows how long, and is based on the comics that I think started in the 50s. Don't quote me on that. And essentially, what Casper wants is friends, because he's had to deal with Fatso, Stinky, and Stretch for the entire time he's been haunting the house that they now live in. The psychiatrist is also on a mission as well, because his main goal is to contact the spirit of his deceased wife. Catherine, played by Christina Ricci, is 13. She's not really feeling that great about the idea of moving to a new town again, and of course going to a new school. There's lots of teenage cliches in this film, but what really makes the film work is the relationship Casper has with Christina Ricci in this case, who we call Cat. Fatso, Stretch, and Stinky are like the Three Stooges of Ghost World, really. And after this Casper movie, I should point out, there were several direct-to-video sequels made. Casper's New Beginning and Casper Meets Wendy. Casper Meets Wendy actually starred Hilary Duff, and that was a pretty okay movie. But the original Casper is still the best. You've got, I believe it's Eric Idle is in this film as well, as a few other random cameos by Dan Aykroyd and Alec Baldwin and the Crypt Keeper. It's a really fun movie for fall, and it really kind of gets you in the mood of, leaves falling and turning, and basically there's a lot of friendship elements here that I think kids will enjoy, and maybe adults will find it funny because it's from their past. I don't know, but I really have a special place in my heart for the film Casper. The one thing I will say is the jokes are a bit dated because this is kind of right at the dawn of the internet, so it may not be relatable to younger kids after a while. But for me, it's the perfect start to the fall season. I always start the September, October, November season with Casper. So that's my review for Casper. If you can find it on DVD or if it's on Netflix or Amazon, please check that out. The second movie that I think is worth watching for fall is one that is near and dear to my heart, and that is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. The beginning of the Harry Potter franchise is something that I found really impactful in terms of films, because by the time my sister was on the third book, I was actually just starting the first. So to be able to closely experience all the pandemonium of the books and then transition that pandemonium and fandom to the first few movies was a dream come true, really, for me. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, as you know, stars the three household names of Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint, with appearances by Alan Rickman and Maggie Smith, and the late Richard, I'm going to forget his last name. I know his name is, Richard Harris, that's right, is Dumbledore in the first two films of this series. The reason I like this one so much is it reminds me of a show I used to watch as a kid called The Worst Witch, where these girls all were witches and they attended a witch school. And for Harry Potter, what makes it so magical is it basically celebrates what's best about the British actors that we have been using over the past few decades. I mean, Maggie Smith isn't a dame yet, but she's practically British royalty at the point where she starred in this film. You've also got Robbie Coltrane, a very well-known, well-trained British actor, playing Hagrid. All these characters are so well etched in my memory because I listened to the audiobooks growing up, and Jim Davis did all the voices for the characters of the audiobooks. And so when I get to see all of those characters translated to screen exactly in the way I hoped they would, it was a dream come true. Ron and Hermione are especially likable, but the real star of the film, Daniel Radcliffe, is just exactly who you'd want to be friends with. He's likable, vulnerable, a little bit stubborn, and a bit of a leader sometimes, but he's endearing in the deepest sense. It does help as well that this first film and its follow-up, The Chamber of Secrets, were directed by the same director, a favorite of mine, Chris Columbus. And it is helped even further that the score for the film was scored by my all-time favorite composer, John Williams. I really, really have an affection for this film. My favorite moment overall is the moment when Harry is staring into the mirror in the room of requirement and sees his parents for the first time. I love that something that is so stereotypically British has such an endearing, deep heart. It also reminds me of Hook. The film Hook is a great film. You should see that one as well, but that's not on my list. But Harry Potter is just one of those films that you grow with the character as things are happening to the character. You feel like you're going through that change of seasons with Harry Potter as he's learning more about himself, learning more about magic, learning more about what friendship means, and it's just a very, very special film. I think that the later movies in the series are, of course, much better because the actors have had more time in the role. But for me, for the start of fall, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is top-notch. So that would be another film I would recommend for fall. Now, I know a lot of you are probably tired of me listing horror movies for fall or sci-fi fantasy movies for fall. So taking a break from that, there is one romantic comedy on my list that I think that everybody should see at the start of fall. It's one of those movies that just makes me really, really happy whenever it's on TV or whenever I happen to pass by it in the on-demand, I have to watch it. And that film is When Harry Met Sally, starring Billy Crystal and the ever-engaging and empowering Meg Ryan. This film centers on two people who, at the beginning of the film, do not like each other at all. They hate each other, in fact. And the thing that I love about this film is that it works so hard to not only make the audience buy the friendship that Harry and Sally have, but you're just constantly, after they become friends, hoping that these two get together. And when they finally do, you're still not satisfied because you're wondering, well, what's the next step for Harry and Sally? What does it mean now that they're an actual couple? For me, When Harry Met Sally is one of those films about transition, about growing and maturing. And when you're a college-age student, this is the perfect film to watch on a lazy Saturday or Sunday afternoon, because you've got people who are very opposite in personality, but they complement each other so well in conversation that it almost doesn't matter that their habits are the complete opposite of each other. The thing is, they're very good at one common goal, and that is caring about each other. They're always there for each other through every professional hurdle that each one of them faces, or every sad moment each one of them faces in their romantic or personal life. The thing that makes this movie so fun for me is that the characters are all relatable. They're people you could hang out at a they're people you could hang out at a bar with. They're people you could see at a party and go talk to about anything. Sally would be more stuck up and Harry would be the more relaxed jokester, but that doesn't mean that, they wouldn't be good companions overall. This movie is ultimately about the changes a young adult goes through trying to decide who they want to be and what they want their life to be like. It's also about discovery, discovering yourself, discovering what makes you good in a relationship, discovering what makes you bad in a relationship, all those special things that someone figures out in their 20s and 30s. And I really love the movie for that reason, because it's also underscored by music written and composed by Harry Connick Jr., which sets the perfect orchestral backdrop for all the relationship drama and chaos that happens in each one of their lives. I highly recommend that burgeoning couples who are just beginning watch When Harry Met Sally. But if you're a singleton by yourself, give Harry Met Sally a look, because when I watched it for the first time and I was alone, I thought, you know what, that's what I need to learn about myself. That's what I need to do in terms of being more or less outgoing. You learn a lot of things from that particular film, and that's another reason why it's a perfect movie for fall. So lastly, I'm going to cheat here. This is more of a winter movie than a fall movie, but every September I have to watch this film. And it's not a comedy, it's not something that's lighthearted, it's something a little more heavy, and that is the movie Monsieur Lazhar. Now, I only know the name of the lead girl in this film, and her name is Sophie Nizet. She's French-Canadian, and the film centers on a teacher who comes to a school after something horrific happens, and how he changes and educates their life through talking to them about what they're feeling, because he knows he cannot directly interfere, as it is school policy not to be over involved with students or their lives. For me, this is a film about children accepting something that adults won't. The children in this film are going through a very difficult time. I will not spoil why. But for me, what makes this film work is how the new teacher talks to the children, what the new teacher talks to the children about, and how the children teach him throughout his time at the school. I think one of the most important things we lose as human beings as we're watching movies is we're such passive watchers these days. We watch a lot of comedies, a lot of action films, but I love things that make me think, that involve me learning more about myself, learning more about the characters I'm viewing, and Monsieur Lazhar gives me all of that while giving me a wonderful, subtle backstory on all of the characters that are involved in this film, including someone as kind of non-distinct as the school janitor. You learn that everyone is, going through a grieving process because of what happened at the school, and trying to understand what all this means for their lives and what it means for them individually. And I think that is the power of the medium, not especially in fall, but just in general. I think movies like Monsieur Lazhar are important because when you watch them, you're looking at a language barrier saying, I'm not going to understand this, and then you realize how universal the story of loss and recovery is, and that is nowhere more present than when watching Monsieur Lazhar. It's one of those really wonderful movies that catches you by surprise. about how much it's able to make you feel. And if none of these films that I've mentioned so far are films that you're interested in, there is one more film that I think is a standout. It's an honorable mention, let's say, of the ones I've mentioned. And that is The Emperor's Club. It's one of those films that's kind of like Dead Poets Society with Robin Williams, except for what's really trying to be taught here is the value of knowing and understanding yourself, and that once you understand that, the keys to knowledge can be unlocked. It stars Kevin Kline, and there's a very famous actor that I cannot pinpoint the name of that is in this film. But the film's premise is basically that these boys are going to a boarding school, and this teacher, English teacher, shows up teaching them about English and history, and then there's a quiz bowl of some sort, and then a new student comes in, and he's a bit of a rebel, and he kind of throws the boys that have been learning off track a bit, but you also realize that he loves learning just as much, and it's a beautiful thing. And how these boys educate each other and educate the teacher and learn more about themselves is really special. And it's a great film role for Kevin Kline, who at that point hadn't had a good film role in years. And the last big movie that he did before that was the very disappointing Wild Wild West. I love all the films on this list for fall, but for me, the best thing about The Emperor's Club is you never know what direction it's going to take. And by the time it does take its surprise turn halfway through the movie, you're just in shock because you've been learning so much with the characters that are misunderstood that the ones who've been learning the whole time really become the ones who shine the most. As I've said, I really love The Emperor's Club, and that's why I think it's the final perfect movie for fall. If you have any recommendations for fall movies, please send them to UPTV through a comment in the YouTube page, or you can email me directly at chikec8@gmail.com. Until next time, I'm Chike Coleman, and this has been Real Reviews, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.